Hello again everyone. So if you were watching last time, you saw me rather badly, haphazardly, with many errors, make this router extended base out of acrylic, and as I say, it wasn't perfect, but it did the job and it allowed me to take the first pass on this template for routing out the inside of the body. As usual, time got the better of me though, and I had to kind of stop halfway through doing the routing, so let's crack on again with that today and get that finished. Okay, looks like there's a little bit we've missed around there, so I'll just have that off. And a little bit there as well, actually. Yeah, that's looking okay. We're pretty much at the maximum depth I can reach with the router bit now, so I'm going to take the template off and then we'll rely on the cuts that we've already made as a template going forward, which is going to be a slight issue considering I've gone inside the template in some places, but I think we'll be okay. Let's get that template off. I don't know if you can see, but on the second pass I probably had the router a bit low, and I think the screw from the bit or something like that has actually scored the inside of the template, but never mind. So I think we're going to take one more pass, roughly up to about the depth of the Forstner bit, and then we'll probably switch bits to make one final pass to get the maximum depth. Onward. There now, it looks like we're starting to get somewhere, starting to look a bit neater. As you can see, because I'd already took some chunks out under here, we have ended up effectively sort of copying that. We've also got a little bit of tear out there, but not to worry, it's starting to look a lot neater. Now, at this late stage in the game, I haven't actually decided whether or not I'm going to have a control cavity cover or not. Strictly speaking, if I'm going to have F-holes, I don't need one. I could labour away and try the hollow body method of feeding everything in through the F-holes and wiring it up that way. Not that I mind having a control cover. Still don't know. I need to go away and have a think about that. But for the time being, there's still some extra thickness to take out of this. And I think I want to take it down to a depth of somewhere in the region of about a centimetre thickness, maybe just slightly under a centimetre thickness. Let's see where we're at now. So the actual piece itself is exactly 2 inches or 5.2 centimetres, something like that. The depth of the cavity we've got at the moment is about 1¼ inches or just short of 3.5 centimetres. So there's still quite a bit to go there. Might actually start getting to the limits of how far the router can actually reach. But all of that said, we should be quite comfortable going up to a depth of about 4 centimetres easily. So that leaves us a little over 1/2 centimetre left to take. Now, one thing I should probably point out, again, you're probably not going to be able to see very well on camera here, but just zoom in. This is one of those cheap Chinese bits that I've been using more or less since the start, and just trying to get it in shot there. I don't know if you can see, but it's actually sheared off part of the blade on this corner here. But see, this one's nice and square, that one is not. It being a circular tool means that this blade's still making up for that, but yeah, cheap bit I guess, what can you do? But it's still working. But I think for this final cut, because we're kind of dependent on this surface for making a flush cut, it'd probably be a good idea to use another bit. I think I have another one of the same size or similar in stock. This one's a similar size, slightly shorter, but it is brand new. The problem I'm going to have is reach. It's currently a bank holiday, it's New Year's Day that I'm filming this. I'm not going to be able to pop down the tool shop and get a new bit, unfortunately. I don't know whether the collet will actually allow me to sort of not actually feed that in right away. It would make it a bit unstable, but we've been bodging this far. I might give that a try. Or we could just stick with this bit. Let's stick with this bit and see what's possible with it. Just extended this bit to maximum reach, and it's extending 2.5 inches, sort of 4 centimetres, maybe just under, which is about where we want to be. Gives us a little bit of a margin for error. So let's try a pass with that. Unfortunately, we haven't quite gone deep enough there to get rid of the points off the Forstner bit. I think the only way we'd manage to do that is maybe by slightly overextending the router bit in the collet. I'm not sure if that's advisable or not, but that might be the only way to do it. Yeah. See if I can extend it out by about 1/4 centimetre. See if it'll let me do that. Alright, so it's probably not advisable, but I've extended the bit out of the collet by about 1/4 centimetre and tightened it as best I can. Let's see if it holds and if that does the trick. Okay, I can see we've had some problems. What have I done there? Let's have a look. So I think the bit has stayed secure, but I don't think I could see this moving, which suggests I've not had it properly locked off. I think we can try another pass to sort this out, but if it doesn't work, we'll just have to sand it by hand to get it nice and smooth, because we don't want to go too far. Check that's cutting to the right depth. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Let's carry on. There we have it. Maybe a slight bit of sanding required there, but that's looking much neater. Excellent. It's starting to feel a lot lighter as well, which is great. It's still going to be a heavy guitar, but at least it feels fairly sensible now. I think ultimately it probably is going to benefit from having the material removed from the horns as well. Balance is as I thought it might be. The balance is tipping a little bit towards the neck, I think, but we're getting there. So there we go, ran out of time again. Got to start tidying up now, but there's definitely been some lessons learned here which are worth repeating when it comes to the router. First and foremost, definitely if you're doing any depth critical work, make sure the depth stop is engaged before you start using it, and even after you have engaged the depth stop, make sure there's no play in it before you actually put it to your work. Next, as I think I've proved, I've always heard that a 1/2 inch router is recommended when you're guitar building. The router I have is a 1/4 inch collet, and it has done me absolutely fine, but you saw there when we came to trying to get to the maximum depth of the 2-inch body, I was struggling to get long enough reach to actually do that. If I had a 1/2 inch router, apart from it being more stable, it would actually come with bigger bits that I could actually get the full depth of the 2-inch body for. So if you're thinking about making something like a Telecaster or even a PRS, actually the 1/4-inch router would actually be absolutely fine. But if you're going for big chunky 2-inch hollow body Les Paul type bodies, then you're really going to want that 1/2-inch router. Not that you can't kind of cheat a little bit, as I did. If you do want to make a router sled or an extended base plate like I've done, I definitely think a piece of 5mm or 6mm acrylic would be better. I think, again, I'm always in a hurry and I just kind of use what I've got available, but if I was ordering online, then if I went and ordered a piece of 5 or 6mm acrylic, that would have done a lot better job than what I had. If anyone wants to table mount the router, as I've been doing, or wants to mount it in the extended base plate like I've been doing, then the correct bolts for the Triton router at least are the 1/4-inch UNC type. That's the large, is it UNC? I'll put a note below if it's not, but it's the 1/4-inch type of the large thread, and I think the bolts that I had were 1/2 an inch long, and they seem to be right for the thickness of material I'm recommending. Other than that, not really a lot to say about the process so far. I think I'm quite happy with his body. It's still a little bit on the heavy side, but it's starting to feel, you know, in the right ballpark at least. I probably am going to end up routing these horns out in a little bit, but I wanted to be able to visualize it because I'm kind of making things up as I go along, really. I want to be able to visualize it with the cap on before I make any decisions as to whether I'm going to do any back carves or anything like that to try and make it look a little bit more thin or a little bit more ergonomic. On the note of the cap, I don't think I've shown you this yet, but I do have a piece of book matched flame sycamore, which was actually quite cheap, but because it was quite cheap, I think the seller was a little bit unscrupulous in that it wasn't particularly well dried, and although I had it in stock for about a year, when it arrived it was really badly cupped, so it was sort of bent. If I actually put them end to end like this, you would see like a W shape. When it's been stored and dried, some of that has disappeared, but they're still not perfect, so I'm going to have to try and do something to sort that out, which might be difficult because at the moment I don't have things like planer thicknessers or jointing planes or anything like that. I do have some Christmas money lying around, so I might actually end up going and buying a jointing plane because I think that'd be a handy thing to have. But we'll have a think about that and we'll get to work on these next time. So with all that said, as always, please do like, subscribe, follow me if you do want to follow this build. If you do have any suggestions, questions or comments, as always, leave them below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time, goodbye.